Hi everybody, Tom Ball from Sun Racing, and I'm delighted to be joined by man of the moment, Charlie Fellows, after his epic week at Royal Ascot in which he trained two winners. Welcome, Charlie. Congratulations on a wonderful week. Are you still on cloud nine?
What a week! Thank you. Yes, I think I've learnt through 7 years of training so far, that one of the most important things that you should do is enjoy the good times, because they are few and far between, and it's incredibly tough. And we've had a wonderful week last week. We had a great staff barbecue on Monday night in the garden, all outside, and you've got to enjoy it, because it's so tough. Actually, this morning I did a sort of talk for some kids at my school that I went to when I was growing up, and I said to them, one of the thing that I've learned most is that when things are good, you need to enjoy it, because life's too short. And if you think of it as a racehorse trainer, I mean, I train at about a 15% strike rate. That means that 85% of my horses are getting beaten. So when they do win, you've got to enjoy it. And Ascot, for me, has always been the pinnacle. It's always been the place where I dream of having winners. Sure. So for us in such an early stage of our training career, to be having such a good time at Ascot, now 2 years in a row. One year people will say, "Oh, yeah, you got lucky, bit of a fluke, 33-1 shot, race fell apart, blah blah." I think to go and have two winners the following year, people will just hopefully just step back and think, "Oh, okay, well, maybe this is a yard that's really going places." And you look at the big yards that didn't have winners this year. Your Charlie Appleby's, your Saeed bin Sarors, your William Haggis's, your Sir Michael Stouts, and you put us on, in there on the trainers' table. We were on, you do pinch yourself slightly, and I'm very lucky. We moved into this incredible yard, and I think a lot of people might have looked at us and thought, "Oh, that's a big move for someone so early in his career. Pressure's going to be on, and to really make people feel like he deserves to be in a yard like that." And I hope that, along with finishing second in the Melbourne Cup, and generally just things seem to be going well, that any doubters have been firmly put in their place for the moment.
I'm sure they have been. And as you said, two winners, but two very impressive winners as well. Onassis making it second time lucky in the Sandringham. You've got a really good record in that race already. Do you think she's got a big future now as a filly?
I was really impressed with her. I thought the filly last year, I thought she did really well. She toughed it out. She won it through graft and through grit and determination. I thought the filly this year won it through complete class, and I think she could have carried quite a lot more, and she probably still would have won. I thought the way she travelled, I thought the way she quickened to go past half the field in a matter of strides, and the ease that she won. I mean, Hayley, I think, felt she had quite a lot left. And I know, the frustrating thing is, I've heard people say, "Oh, the second was unlucky. It was well fancied and it was over on the wrong side." But I'd have a large bet that we would have beaten her anyway. I think we had quite a lot left up our sleeve, and I really love. She's a talented filly. I've always been worried that she's got so much speed that a mile would stretch her, because her work has been very good at home, and it's just taken us a little bit of time to work her out. She loves being held up. She's much better being held up. And I think a few times last year, because she's got such a good pedigree, I was so focused on getting a win into her that I ended up taking her to tracks that maybe didn't suit. So, for example, Lingfield, second time out, probably not her track. I know she finished second, but just wouldn't suit her style. Windsor as well, third time out, where she was a bit disappointed. We came away disappointed. I don't think that's her track. It's quite a speed track, and that doesn't suit her. But we got it right after that. And then Kempton, she should have won easily. Newmarket, we rode her the wrong way. But again, it's a speed track. Newmarket, I think you is a place to be on this. I think it's very difficult to come from behind at Newmarket because they go down those ridges, and it's only uphill for the last little bit. So, and we were on the pace all the time there. And I think in that valuable handicap, she probably just wasn't ridden right. And we went to Newcastle when I worked out that actually she was much better held up. And we went to a track that suits hold up horses, and she won nicely. And it was after that day, I think it was even that day I said to the owners, this is a Sandringham filly. She'll love Ascot. And my only concern going into the race was that she'd been working so well in the spring and showing so much speed was whether her stamina would last out on the soft ground. I was very worried that she wouldn't get home on it. I shouldn't have worried. She made it look very easy.
She certainly did. Any idea where she might go next?
Well, is it the Princess Elizabeth that's the fillies race at Epsom on Derby Day?
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called. It's an extended mile around Epsom. It's for 3-year-olds only this year as well. So you're not taking on older horses. So we'll look at that. My concern is that it might come a little bit too soon. There's 2 and a bit weeks between the races. But I think she'll love Epsom. She's very well balanced. She'll go around that track. And it's unlike Lingfield, where you slingshot off and you've got a furlong and a half to the finish line. Epsom is, you can run a race at Epsom. You've got quite a long way up that straight. You don't have to be up there all the time. And so we could look at that. There will only be black type from now on. She has an exceptional pedigree, being by Dubawi, out of a Guineas winner, although she was disqualified and placed second in Jacqueline's Quest, and also being a half sister to Line of Duty, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So she has got a very, very good pedigree, and if they could get some black type, she's worth telephone numbers. So that is the next thing. And I, having watched her the other day at Ascot, I have no doubt that she'll get black type somewhere.
Superb. And your other winner of the week was Chief of Chiefs, who seemed to have really enjoyed life sprinting. And he runs this weekend as well. What do you make of his performance? And do you think he's got a big chance at Newcastle?
Oh, I laughed at myself after this. Lee was stood right behind me, and he was looking at me, shaking my head. And I just walked away from the track, shaking my head, because as I said after the race, I've called this horse every name under the sun. I thought he was a monkey. I thought he was a complete dog. I thought that he was, every chance he had to duck out of winning a race, he'd take it. And it would seem like I have been wrong the whole way through, and that actually I've been running him over too far. And that's why he looks like he travels and like he's going to win and then doesn't win. And there are so many reasons why I haven't worked this out. And I look back and I think, he won over 10 furlongs on his third start around Windsor. He won over a mile at York, staying on, needing every inch of the trip. And I've looked back at that and I've thought, why on earth does this horse want 6 furlongs? I think he's so laid back that he just switches off. And so you can hold him up in a race over too far. And if he switches off well enough, then he'll finish the race. And that's what he's been doing. And it's been fooling me into thinking that he wants a mile, wants whatever, when actually he doesn't. He's very, very quick. And his work at home has always been very, very impressive. And this is because he's a sprinter. And I've had it wrong the whole way through. And a lot of credit needs to go to Richard Mullen, who was the first jockey, countless jockeys to have ridden him, who said, you're running this over too far. And that's no disrespect to some very good jockeys that have ridden him in the past, but none of them ever said drop him back. Richard Mullen was the first one out in Dubai. He said after his first race, drop back to 7. And then after the third race, he said, I think you could even drop back to 6. He's not slow. And from then on, I knew the race I wanted to come for was the Wokingham, because I just knew that Ascot, again, really suits this horse, because he loves being dropped in, he loves being ridden patiently and filled out, and he loves coming with a late burst. And Ascot suits those type of horses, and I'm very lucky. I think half the reason I've got a good record at Ascot is because that's how I train them to be ridden. I like them being switched off. I like them being delivered late. I like them, not being up on the pace. That's not my style really. And you look at horses that have disappointed recently, and they're horses that have, for whatever reason, got into that habit. And the one I'm thinking of in particular is King Carney, who obviously won a listed race at the end of the last year, making all, and this year has turned into a runaway on the track. And I'm now going to have to spend probably quite a large chunk of the next couple of months teaching him to get out of those bad habits. And those are the habits that these horses make if you get them into it. And that's why I love holding horses out, and why I feel like it's much better in the long run if you don't do too much. If they learn to race like that. And I'm sure that's why I've got such a good record at Ascot, especially on that straight track. And he's taken the race really well, and we're going to plan to go to another very stiff straight track, which again I think will suit him a huge amount. It's a big ask, coming back out 7 days later, but sprinters in Australia do this every week. He's had 2 months in a paddock. He's only been back with me a month. So he's fresh and well, and he never takes a huge amount out of himself. So I've got no reason to think that he won't. He's 7 years old. It's not. I don't like backing up horses very much. Not really my style. Again, very beautifully exemplified by the way my 2-year-old ran at Ascot 6 days after being very impressive first time out. He disappointed at Ascot, and I think that was for various reasons. I think he probably bounced a little bit, and I think that the ground was probably way too soft for him as well. But I'm not one to run them back quickly. But I think if ever you're going to, an old sprinter, 7-year-old sprinter who's been done that, doesn't take much out of himself, is probably the best horse to do it with. So I'm looking forward to it. I think the track will really suit him. It's a Group 3. It's a good race, but I think conditions will suit him as much as anything. And God, it would be unbelievably ironic if this bloody horse was the one to give me my first ever group winner in England, because I've had him in my yard for the last 6 years, and he's been staring at me, trying to tell me that he wants to run over, and I've been running him over 10 furlongs in the sodding winter derby.
Well, certainly on the evidence of his Ascot win, he's a sprinter going places. Another one, I would say. Another one you've got at Newcastle is, of course, in the big race of the day, the Betfair Northumberland Plate. That is Khan Wennon, who's I think he's second favourite in the market now. Won the Vars really impressively last year. Now £9 higher, gets into the real thing this time. How would you rate his chance?
He loves Newcastle. He loves the all-weather. Really suits him. Really suits his style. He's a funny horse. He's got a slightly awkward action, awkward head carriage, and I think that's why he really likes the all-weather. He loves that smooth surface. He's much better with a big field. Loves a good strong pace to aim at. And I think I've got him in as good a form as I can have him. I would love to have had a prep run. He's just needed his runs the last couple of years. He got beaten at Doncaster first time out last year and then went on a sequence. But he did run through the winter, and he's not left my yard, unlike the time before. And I feel like I've done enough with him. So I think I'm pretty happy that we go there in good nick. I think with it being so close to Ascot, it's maybe not quite as strong a race as it has been. I can't see a withhold in there, if I'm honest. And I think on his last couple of runs, his Newcastle run last time out, where we beat Smart Champion, it was a small field. He had to take the running up a very long way out, and that doesn't suit him. And hopefully, with it being a bigger field this time, they'll just take him into the race further. He'll be able to travel further, and hopefully he can go and win. I don't know how many. Have even ever been done a horse winning the Vars and going on to win the big thing a year later. I don't know. I think I would probably have gone very close in the plate as well, with my entry dubious affair. But I just decided I didn't want to step her up to 2 miles quite yet, and she's going to the Donny tomorrow instead. But I was very tempted to try and win both races. That would have been quite fun. But look, he's in good form. He's ready to go. He loves the trip. And Stevie Donahoe is very, very important for this horse, because he's not an easy ride. He takes a lot of knowing. He takes a lot of getting hold of. He hits a flat spot, and he can fool jockeys into thinking he's going nowhere. Whereas Stevie knows what he's like. He's very strong, gets hold of him. And I think hopefully they'll go a nice, good, proper gallop. And the quicker they go, the better for us.
Yeah, absolutely. One other runner on Saturday is Perfect Inch. She ran a really nice race last time at Chelmsford, just getting beaten. Runs in the novice stakes at Newmarket. Would you think she can go one better this time?
Yeah, I like this filly. Between you, me, and the people listening, there's not much between filly and Anassis. They've been doing all their work together in the spring. I was pretty confident she'd run a big race at Chelmsford the other day. And I think that a mile on grass will suit her even better. I want rain. I do want rain. I don't want the ground to be too quick. She won't be risked on quick ground, but I think the forecast suggests that there is rain around. And if there is rain around, she'll go very close. So I'd be very disappointed if she is not thereabouts. She's a nice filly, and she's definitely one of my nicer 3-year-olds. And there wouldn't be a huge amount between her and Anassis.
Excellent stuff. Well, hopefully there's a few weekend winners in there. Finally, Charlie, just before I let you go, the Derby at Epsom next weekend, it looks a cracking race. Military Marcher, unfortunately, was ruled out this afternoon, which is a big shame, because obviously he had a big chance in the race. Looking at the race itself, what do you think is the one standout, if there is one?
I would love my good friend Ed Walker to win it. I've just got a feeling we set the Lingfield Derby trial up for him that day. They went stupid pace. I think the first 3 furlongs were sub 12 seconds. And I just wonder if he got slightly flattered and the race fell apart. And I was very, very, very taken with Kamiko in the Guineas. It looks to me like he'll get 1.25 miles stood on his head. And in a race that maybe lacks a bit of depth, for me, he's got the standout form. I don't know if he'll stay the 12 furlongs. That's obviously the big question mark. But I was really impressed with English King. But I just wonder, A, what he beat, and B, whether the race was really just set up for him that day. And that just worries me. If I was having a bet, that would worry me a little bit. And if I was a jockey and I was trying to get on one, I would probably want to ride Kamiko, I think. A Guineas winner with the pedigree he's got. They always say the Guineas are the best trial for the Derby. I just think that he might be very good. I was surprised I couldn't have him in the Guineas. I just thought maybe he was an all-weather horse, being by Kitten's Joy. But I thought he was very, very, very impressive that day. And I think for me, he's the one to beat.
Excellent stuff. Charlie, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully this time in a couple of days, we'll be celebrating Calm Wennon winning the Northumberland Plate. Hopefully talk to you soon, and best of luck.
Thanks, Tom. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Love it.